Oh well, it's massive to have one of the best players in the world available for selection is a huge boost for the boys, and he's been in really good form. We saw it last year in the World Cup, but through this Super Rugby season, he's been outstanding for this team and for the morale of this team.
Robbie Coleman on the wing, is that to negate Naholo and Osborne and the pace they've got with Smith at fullback as well?
Yeah, so Robbie's played a couple of games of club rugby for Queanbeyan and has played some really good games there, and he's just an experienced campaigner. He's very good with his communication on the field. He's got a very good skill set that we think will be valuable for this weekend.
Are you expecting tomorrow night to be almost like a foot race, given the way they play with that really quick fire, rapid fire sort of play they implement, especially in the back line?
Yeah, they've got some dangerous players, not just in the back line but in the forward pack as well. They've picked a very mobile back five. I think their second rowers and back rowers are quite dynamic and get around the paddock very well. So there's going to be threats across the park, but I think what you'll see with this team in particular, they're pretty good with their set piece. So very good with the kicking game and very good with some set piece opportunities. So we've put a bit of focus into making sure our set piece defence is good, and we've certainly spent a lot of time this week working on our kicking game and how to nullify their kicking game.
You're going to kick a bit more tomorrow night?
I think just trying to find that balance, same as always. So we've probably spoken about it since we've come back from the June window, trying to get balance in our game. We can't expect to run everything, particularly in conditions where the ball is quite slippery. And I think last week that's what we saw, that from line out particularly the ball was pretty good for a couple of phases, but then after it hit the ground a couple of times in the rucks, it became quite slippery. So yeah, we certainly have to find balance in our game.
Do you think you have the variety to kind of counteract theirs and their paces, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean they're on more points than us. They were on more competition points before we got to the finals. So they've won one more game than us, and they've got a pretty good all-round game. They're probably unlucky to finish where they finished, but we've got a lot of respect for them. But like I said, we've done some pretty good work this week to be ready for what they're going to throw at us.
So even at this time of year, I mean, how do you prepare the guys to fitness-wise and physically to lift for a game that's going to be so fast and quick?
I think it's just about getting the structure of the week the way we want it. So it was a 6-day turnaround, which was a little bit unfortunate. Coming into a final series, you don't want to have a 6-day turnaround, but I think we've done enough this week to freshen the boys up. We've got enough detail into the training week and allowed them to recover in between sessions so that they're nice and fresh for tomorrow night.
But in the other team changes, Rory, how bad is his injury?
Yeah, pretty bad. So obviously bad enough not to play this week. He played about 30 minutes in the game with it last week. Pushed himself quite well there, but we feel that he's just not right for this week. There was too much swelling after the game and still too much pain. So we'll just have to wait and see how he pulls up.
So no word on whether he'll be right if you get through or anything like that?
Not yet, no. Yeah.
Blake coming in, I think his first start of the year he injured his shoulder, and then you took him over to play the Highlanders and he got crook before kick-off and couldn't play. So I guess a bit of a chance for him to step up and take a chance on the big stage.
He did the same thing last year. So against the Hurricanes in the final, he got his opportunity, and he was probably our man of the match. So there's a lot of confidence in Blake. In big games, he's a very technical player. He works very hard for his teammates, so there's full confidence in him.
The decision behind Benny A as well, rotating him out and Les in?
Yeah, just the impact that Les will bring off the bench. So we thought that Ruan had a pretty good game last week and played quite well the week before as well. So we've given Ruan the opportunity to start, and we just feel that, again, looking at a bit of club rugby with Les playing for Queanbeyan, he's been quite dynamic, and that's the impact that we're looking for him to bring off the bench.
The Australia-New Zealand rivalry, everyone's talking about that big stat that I guess is quite glaring when you look at it. How do you think that stacks up at going into this game?
Well, it's irrelevant now, isn't it? And it's kind of what I said after the game last week, that your form prior to this game is it's irrelevant. It's what you put down on the paddock, and any team in this competition can win the competition. So we've probably copped criticism as Australian teams throughout the year, but it's all irrelevant now.
But do you think there's a point to prove about Australian rugby?
Not a point to prove, it's just about playing well this weekend, and the result will look after itself.
How crucial is that home ground advantage?
Yeah, it's massive, particularly when we get a good crowd out here. I think the familiarity of captain's run, of training at home for the whole week, is certainly a bonus. The fact that we don't have to travel, just thinking back to the Auckland game, we had 10 hours of travel the day before the game, which made it really difficult. So we don't have to do that. And then I guess the home crowd, who generally lift us, and we're expecting a very good crowd tomorrow night. We've had pretty good pre-sales already, and we're expecting a pretty good turnout. 6 o'clock start on a Friday night, a little bit unusual, but I think it's a good opportunity for people to knock off work early and get out here and have a good night.
When you talked about the travel factor, I think Tim was saying before, it took the Highlanders 3 days to get here, basically. Do you think that'll come into it at all?
Yeah, I think that certainly plays a part in it. There's an element of fatigue that you might fool yourself with at the start of the game, thinking, oh, I can push through this, but by the end of the game, there's certainly that element there.
Then who's going to give the jumpers? Because Itabaya's here. Is he going to do that?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see what we'll see what he wants to do when he gets in there. But yeah, that's the plan.
What is it like having him here? I know Joe presented them a few weeks ago, but to have Irahu, quite a popular member of the group, and obviously guys were quite heartbroken earlier in the year.
Yeah, it's going to be quite emotional today, I think, depending on what Ida says in there. He's a very passionate member of this team, and I'm sure there'll be quite a bit of emotion in there.